And welcome everyone to the Man Cave. I am Paul Knapp, and I will be your host for this evening's show. Tonight is episode number 23, and waiting in the green room is our special guest, Jeremy Milford Sr. Jeremy is the owner and operator of Pawtucket Platoon, and he will be a vendor at the upcoming Kentuckiana show on July 29th. He started Pawtucket Platoon July 4th of 2019, offering build your own 60s and 70s G.I. Joe's custom nostalgic boxes. And he is also an avid G.I. Joe collector. A couple of plugs I want to give to channels out there. WOJM. Most of you guys know them as What's on Joe Mind. So make sure you check those guys out. Also, official Leonard Toys. Toy News. And he's usually with us on our live show. So hopefully he'll join us tonight as well. I'd like to thank all my new subscribers and a shout out to just three of them. Mark Peterson, CP Stone Ham 1, and Marco R's Zemo. My guest for next week is still up in the air. I'm still working on somebody, so I don't want to make any announcements, but we will have a show, even if we don't get a guest. And I'd like to thank everybody that's chatting in already. Let's see, Boss Jack, where you at? There you are, Boss Jack. Mike's GI Dojo is with us, another member of the AOA. GIA, Mr. GIA, I'd like to get you on next week, actually, as a special stand-in panel guest. So if you can hook up with me on Facebook, I would love to get you on. Big Boss Jack, if you can get out of prison, that would be cool, and we can get you on as well. So he knows I'm just kidding with him, man. All right, you ready for some introductions tonight? We got the band members back. We're putting the band back together tonight again. We got this guy on drums again. He doesn't do it for the money. He does it for the love of toys. This is Mike Bowinski, otherwise known as Medic Mike. Woo!
That's me. Ha!
Thanks again for joining us.
Anytime.
We had to have you tonight because of our special guest, but we'll get to that later. And we got this gentleman with us, also on bass guitar, as he was last week. He loves dancing to slow music, dressed as a stormtrooper. This is Jim Egner.
Yeah. Howdy, y'all.
Yeah.
I had to go with the stormtrooper with the TK 566.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been known to do that before. Yeah.
And we have another person on our panel tonight who was a special guest at one time. He is on lead guitar, and in certain circles, he's also known as Big Sexy. This is Mr. Jim Largo.
I also play the kazoo in 2 different languages.
That's awesome, man. Well, we got our man on lead vocals in the green room, but before I get to him, I'm going to go around the room and ask you what's new in the zoo. So we're going to start off with this gentleman. Mike, what's new in your zoo, brother?
Hey, it's me. Hey, well, I just kicked out a video on my YouTube channel. Some of you have probably seen it, some of you have not. I just started an MSV repair and restoration video, so that's going to be the main thing for the next few weeks. I took the box down and showed everybody how the motor worked, and we're just going to run it from there.
Dude, I watched that video this morning when I was at work, and I think you and Mr. Toy Polloy and some of the other fix-it guys need to do a live stream together and like take apart shit and rebuild it.
That'd be kind of cool, actually. I subscribe to his channel, but I don't know the guy. Maybe I should shoot him a message, eh?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I was rooting for you to pull that thing apart with the glue on there. I was like,
yeah, that one was a little tougher than the first one I did.
And our 3D printer, Mr. Jim Egner,
What's
what is in your zoo tonight?
Man, not a whole lot. I'm still kind of recovering from the Joe show. Right now, what I'm working on is this little piece right here. I don't know if you can make that out.
The shield?
Yeah, it's the windshield. Yeah, this one is just a test print. I did that one on my regular printer. And work at a university. We have a maker space. We have a resin printer. I'm going to be printing that hopefully in a clear resin. So keep your fingers crossed. That's on the printer right now. So it wasn't ready for the show, but it should be ready soon. So I guess that's the big one. I'm always working on something. So
now, when you say the big show, you
go
mean
on forever.
When you say the big show, where are you gonna have that at next?
Oh,
just
well,
on Etsy? Just putting it on Etsy, or you putting it on?
just going to be on
Oh,
Etsy
okay.
for now. I'm going to try to make it to Joanna this
Oh,
year.
nice.
I don't know. Do y'all know Turl Ashby?
No.
I know who
Okay,
he is. Yeah.
He does the rubber.
Oh,
scuba
yeah.
suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got me working on a project for him, and he invited me up to share his booth. So I don't know how much of that I'm going to be able to do, but my wife and I are kind of trying to plan a trip up there for that. So
Nice.
Sweet.
Mr. Andy in Indy already has a question for you. Is that a form printer?
It's a Anycubic is the brand of printer that we're printing on. So.
All right. And Mr. Largo, what do you have new in your zoo down in the nice, sweaty, hot weather that you're having?
Well, I'm working on putting together a cryptid hunting team for my adventure team. So I picked up a few odds and ends. I actually have them actually on another table out of reach where I'm doing some photo shoots, but picked up some figures from the old Van Helsing movie. I didn't know they did 1/6 figures, but happened to find those on Evil Bay and trying to figure out some toy photography scenarios with that. Coming up on the layer, this Thursday, we're coming back after our hiatus, and we're going to talk about all the shenanigans that go on in men's daily lives and mental health and coping mechanisms. So it's kind of a, getting my mojo back, getting back on the air and doing some stuff.
I see you have Action Ed on again, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Ed from Axiom Figures is
Axion. That's Axion. Yeah, I follow his channel.
He's highfalutin. He's got that French accent on that custom name of his.
All right. Let's bring everybody in here. And other than what's new in your zoo, I did have one question for you guys, and it kind of pertained to Medic Mike there, but he's already answered that one. Do you guys take apart vintage stuff to the extent that Medic Mike does, or do you just kind of, I mean, I know you're 3D printing stuff, but I mean, I've never really, I'll clean stuff up, vintage stuff, but I don't delve into it as much as Mike does. How about you guys? Jim?
I'll let Mike go on this one.
Oh, go ahead.
Jim Egner, go. Jim Egner, go.
Yeah, I fix them up all the time. I'm always tearing something up and putting it back together. Talkers seems to be my fascination at the moment. I've hit Mike up a couple of times for stuff. I'm putting together a Navy talker that actually, y'all remember Sergeant Soldier? He gave me a bunch of busted chest mechanisms, and I put them together, and turns out one of them was a Navy talker. So I'm excited about putting it back together.
Nice.
But all I have is a chest and a shoulder piece, and not much. So it's getting cobbled together back piece by piece. So
well, you got the basic ingredients to make you a chesty puller if you want to make a Marine, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
How about you, Mr. Largo?
I'm
you
kind of,
fix it man,
I'm
or
just, I suck at it, but I do attempt it. I'm just recently getting back into the 1/6 scale, and I tinkered with doing customs in smaller scales like the 1/12. I've picked up a couple of lots just to try to put some things together. So I've got some odds and ends that are going to need some tweaking. So I really enjoy watching Mike and some of the other fellas in the Axis of Awesome, seeing how they do it and trying to learn from some of their mistakes and cussing and what all.
Adam and Jeff are good at both, cussing and fixing.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Like I said, if you watch Mike's video this morning, man, holy crap! I was cheering for you, brother.
What an undertaking there.
Yeah, that thing was a struggle, man. What it comes down to for me is if it's broken, it's vintage. It ain't really, it ain't never going to be worth what it was like when it was, brand new. So why not take it apart and fix it,
Yeah.
If it's vintage and it's in really good shape and it doesn't really need a whole lot, well, yeah, then you don't want to touch it. You don't want to alter vintage pieces unless you got to.
Yep.
It looks like GIA asked me a question, and yes, I will. So
okay. We got GIA in the house. He's from Canada. Big Boss Jack's always with us. Eddie Burton joined us tonight. Hey, Eddie Burton.
Hey, Eddie.
He comments on every video, man. I love that guy. We got to get him on the show sometime. Tim out there in Washington land. It's probably 5 o'clock your time, 5:15. And Gamer Newbie, Ed, I think he's in Canada as well. So, all right, without further ado, we're going to bring in our lead singer and our keyboard player for tonight. He's originally from Saskatchewan, Canada, but ironically, he hates cold weather. Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash ain't got nothing on this man. This is Jeremy Milford Sr.
Hi, guys.
AKA Pawtucket Platoon. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Paul. And thanks for the invite.
I saw you in the green room, kind of like a little bit scared about coming on the show. You all right?
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. I do have a special drink with me
I
this
see
evening.
that. Yep. Very good.
You see that. And my nerves are starting to calm down a little bit. So.
I don't know if you remember. I met you one time up at the Hershey show in the fall.
Yes. Yeah.
I met you there. And I begged you to come on my show, and it only took you like 7 months, but we finally got you here.
Right. And the funny thing about that, Paul, and I met a lot of great people up there, and I was there with my significant other, and I said, I made it. I'm somebody now, because this guy came up to me and like shook my hand overly hard and said, "Hey, it's so glad to finally meet you." And I'm going, "Who is this guy?" And then obviously Paul, introduced himself, and the rest is history. So
there you go.
So I'm famous.
So before I start off my questions for tonight, apparently your long lost brother, Mike, in the top right there, you guys are related somehow. How did this arrangement first start? How did this first start? I'll tell you what, Jeremy, you give me your side, and then Mike, you can tell me your side, and then somewhere in the middle, I'm sure it's
okay.
Batman and met Robin somewhere here.
I mean, Mike and I are still reeling from our long lost relationship. It's been four years now. We've never met each other in person yet.
Oh, wow.
We've talked on the phone, I think, one time, but we've messaged the hell out of each other. And after about, Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe about 200 plus head reflockings, I think we're ready to take our relationship to the next level. So, whether that's being brothers or a brother and sister, I don't know. Who knows in today's climate, right? But no, I just sincerely, I'll stop right there and I'll let Mike talk.
Okay. Yeah, 200 heads. I think that's probably an underestimate. I mean, you've sent me huge boxes of stuff to fix up for you. I do want to say, hey, I have enjoyed this little partnership that we've been doing, and it will keep on rolling. I'm hope for a long time, I'm sure. How it all came about? Yeah, you remember Billy Reynolds there, right, Jeremy?
Yes.
He's the one who pointed you in my direction and said, "Hey, this dude can flock stuff." And I had just barely started, and I was like, "What?" I mean, I was still figuring out how to make it all perfect. I mean, I figured out the basics, but I didn't know how to make it all look really great. Right. But when Jerry and Mike come up with, he told me what he was doing, and he was like, "I want to send my stuff to you for you to fix it so I can put these sets together." I was like, "Okay, I'll do that." You may remember that attitude I had in the beginning, don't you, Jeremy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You've come out of your shell quite a bit since then.
So you guys never really met at any live G.I. Joe shows, huh?
No,
we haven't met in person, no.
That's cool.
I bet you there's probably 10,000 text messages, though.
Definitely. And that's why we chatted here a couple weeks ago. And
yeah, that's right.
I said, Michael, what we need to do is, a couple times a month or whatever, let's go live with each other and let's actually talk, because a lot of the communication, definitely gets lost, in messaging.
So.
Yep. You can't
That's very
text
true.
sarcasm. You got to do that face to face.
No, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I've gotten pretty good at texting sarcasm.
Yes, you have.
Mr. Largo, I'm gonna open up the questions to you for Mr. Pawtucket if you have anything on your mind before I start with mine.
Well, just kind of curious what got you into dealing with the classic Joes, and what was it? Was it something from childhood, or was it just something as you got older? You're like, man, I got the nostalgia bug. I want to jump back into that.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I mean, I had my originals, which the boys are in the back here. Um, never threw away the boxes. My Man of
Wow.
Action, and also the Black Adventure. And you know, of course, we give them names. We give them some type of persona. Lieutenant Mike Stone and Lieutenant Greg Johnson. So they were both equals, right? And you know, I mean, I've kept these guys, you know, for what now, 50, almost 50 years. I think I got mine probably, well, yeah, probably a little over 50 years, probably in 72, maybe something like that. Um, he's all original. I mean, and the flocking is awesome. And I'm not, you know, no takeaway from Mike because he does a superb job. But this guy has never been reflocked or anything. Love him to death. And yeah, so you know, I held on to these guys, and just like every other guy, we've lost, you know, our equipment. We've lost our, you know, adventure team helicopters, our Jeeps. Where did mom put all this stuff? Did she throw it away? Did it need recycle or what? And you know, through the years, that was it. I mean, you know, I held on to these guys, tucked them away in a container, and then it was probably I'm trying to get my dates straight when Hasbro, or I guess probably Kenner at the time, reintroduced the 12-inch Duke and the Desert Storm uniform.
Yep. Yeah, same for me.
1991.
Have my two little girls. I'm a father of fives. I have 3 boys and 2 girls. My 2 girls are 2 years apart. They were playing AAU basketball here in Ohio. We were down in Columbus, in the capital, and we stopped at a Target store. And of course, you know, not only the kids, but dad always has to check out the toy aisles and everything. I still do today. I'm just kind of weird that way. And hoping to find another 12-inch GI Joe, you know, reintroduced or something. And I'm walking down the aisle, and there he was. I thought, oh my gosh, no way. So grabbed him up. Only bought one. Should have bought 2. Still have him today in the box. And from there, as we got into the mid 90s, you know, Hasbro exploded with their classic collection line, and I started collecting, you know, and I have a ton of new stuff. I have a lot of old stuff, but my real focus has been, you know, on introducing or reintroducing the 60s and 70s figures, and not so much for myself, but for you, you know, my clients. And you know, every Joe I build, I have a real hard time disconnecting from it. You know, it's like I want to hold on to every one that I build up. So that gives you a little bit of a background.
Yeah, very cool.
Thank you.
Mr. Jim Egner, do you got anything lined up for this gentleman?
Actually, I do, and I may jump ahead, Paul, and maybe a question that you've already asked. I just absolutely adore the boxes that you do. That was one of the things that I've always was, you know, quite drawn to, was the box art. As a former graphic designer, that was something that was very interesting to me. I'm thrilled to see that you're doing that sort of thing. And often wonder the legal ramifications of doing that, the copyright, and if it's still there, or if Hasbro cares and that sort of thing. What can you tell us about the kind of that part of what you're doing?
Yeah, I get the copyright and trademark questions, you know, periodically. You know, going back to when I started Pawtucket back in 2019, actually on the 4th of July, prior to that, probably about 2 or 3 months prior, I had contacted Rob Barker out of New Jersey, and Rob does custom box work and so forth. And we shared some ideas, and you know, he basically, you know, looked into the legalities of it, because he'd been producing boxes for a good number of years and selling on eBay and so forth. And because Hasbro in the 12-inch line is not a, you know, mainstream commercial, you know, let's make our millions again, right? that these boxes can be reproduced because there's no copyright or trademark infringement at that point, which is really neat. And it's still promoting their brand, their company, at that point. Now we do get into a little bit of I'll use the English term, the sticky wicket, or a rock and a hard place, that when producing a custom figure, possibly using the G.I. Joe name, and even with a custom name added to that, if you don't go beyond, let's say 100 figures in that line, mass production, you're safe. So, and that I've talked to Daryl DePriest about it. I've talked to.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to meet Sam Spears back in 2004, and Sam really took. He was the mastermind in the articulation and those 21 points of articulation on our Joes. And I met him at Disney World at one of the G.I. Joe Club conventions. And just a great guy. And of course, Sam at that time was in his late 70s. And of course, we got the autograph and everything. And I spoke to him, about, copyrights even back then, before I even thought about doing anything with Joes except collecting and looking at them and playing with them. So.
Very cool.
The reason I ask, I do the Space-O-Matics, and I was real concerned about the legal loopholes that I might run into with the box art, the logo, and all that kind of stuff. So I redid all of that myself and made it just a little bit different than just a scan of a logo or something like that. And so, but I talked to Daryl as well, and he suggested it, like you just said, keep the count down below 100, and you should be pretty good. They treat it more like a convention type of thing. I used to vacuum form Stormtrooper armor for the Star Wars folks, and it was the same sort of deal. Lucas never licensed the production of the Stormtrooper uniform, and yet there's the 501st with tens of thousands of Stormtroopers out there.
Right.
And so it was a speakeasy type of operation. You just don't make a bunch of money off of it, and we don't care.
Sure.
Now, Disney, they do care. So, I went out the window with Disney, but
shit.
Yeah.
That reminds me. It reminds me of the Star Trek franchise with the Axanar movie too. You guys know about that?
Yep.
Yeah. Paramount shot that down when previously fan films were fine, and all of a sudden they make a Hollywood style production. It looks great, and then they have a problem. Okay.
We have a lot of people out there watching. We have a lot of people chatting in. So if you have any questions for Mr. Pawtucket Platoon, just type them up there and we'll get to them. But my first question is the name Pawtucket Platoon. You threw me for a loop, brother.
I know.
I swore. Up until about 15 minutes ago, I thought you were out of Rhode Island. And then you told me.
Yeah, I wish I was.
What the
that was the first question I asked him.
Yeah, he did. And
you need to explain the whole Pawtucket thing, brother.
Yeah, everyone, so far that I've actually come in contact with, at the shows and through messaging and eBay or whatever, they all want to know. And, when I decided that I was going to do this, and there's definitely a backstory to it, that I wanted to catch a name, but I wanted to keep the birthplace of G.I. Joe alive, and that was Pawtucket, Rhode Island, obviously. So I started looking and thinking, and it didn't take me too long, which I was really excited with myself, because usually I ponder things for days, and this took me probably less than a couple hours. And I said Pawtucket, and I wanted to keep it, military, some type of military prowess to it. And I said Platoon. That's it. Now, how am I gonna market it? And I wanted to keep that G.I. Joe likeness, and that's we came up with the custom head. My oldest son, who's Jeremy Jr., he actually designed that, And we added the tricorn hat and camouflage version, and that became the logo. And yeah, so we're in Ohio, Northeast Ohio, getting ready to move. Actually, we've been in the same location for the last 9 years, and now we're moving about 20 minutes west, but we'll still be in the same general area. So yeah, and we're right outside of Akron, so the rubber capital of the world. So.
And you've been that since 2019, you said?
Yeah.
Right on. Gaming Newbie has a question. Ed, what was your favorite custom Joe that you had made for either somebody? I guess that includes the box or just the Joe. I don't
know. Well, we started out with, the customs as far as, from my idea was to come out with a brand that no one else had, or maybe dabbled in a little bit. And I came up with the revolutionary modern warfare theme. So we're taking, those quirky names, just like, Hasbro and G.I. Joe has done, such as the Revere Raider, Saratoga Skirmish, Rancid Redcoat, Graveyard Gunner. And we've taken what is to be a historical figure and gave them a modern twist with weaponry. If those 3 or 4 guys were, at the Battle of Saratoga, they could have took it in less than a week, right?
Oh yeah.
With miniguns and grenade launchers, RPGs, you name it, they would have definitely taken it. So I definitely think my custom figures have gone over well. I think the Graveyard Gunner has been probably one of the best ones that we've put together. He has kind of a unique nostalgia to him because I've used the club black and white figure that they introduced back in I believe it was 2018. They came out with black and white, as seen on TV, version of the action soldier, Marine pilot, and sailor. So I've purchased up a bunch of those bodies and use it for that figure. So,
did you make a GI nurse?
I've made 2 GI nurses.
Okay, because Mike GI Dojo just said he likes the GI nurse.
Yeah, the first one I did was a using still, and that's one thing that I like to add to my builds is I try to keep everything at least 95% GI Joe, and we're always struggling to find equipment and uniform age and stuff like that. So for the nurses, we actually went back to the club. They had introduced the all volunteer group. I think it was the AVG nurse through their club. It was a polybag figure. The sculpt was from their classic collection, which I didn't really care for, but the dress and the hat and all the accessories were just beautiful, spot on. And so I sourced a couple of those, and I put together the first couple figures using a different head sculpt. The first was actually a Jessica Alba head sculpt, which she looked like she was actually on meth. I think maybe even Michael said that at one point. She just didn't look right. She was cute.
I remember that one.
Yeah. And then I said, I can't do it again. So I came back with a really super cool kind of bobbed hair, redhead Barbie head sculpt. And I took her up to the Hershey show and sold her to the first guy who came to my table, so. But that's a rare one, as rare as trying to rebuild her, as much as trying to find the original, so.
Yep.
So Paul, I'm going to jump ahead of
I
got a million questions for this guy. I can't help myself. Sorry about that. So do you have a quantity of like a limited edition, or sort of a short run? I'll do 10 of these and I'm done. I'll never visit it again. How does that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, in what I've seen, through the last 4 years of doing this, is the sales just kind of come and go. I'll be contacted by somebody and say, hey, I'm really interested in this figure or this figure. Yeah, I can build that up for you. Not a problem. Obviously my meat and potatoes is the 60s and 70s Joes. So, when I source the equipment, the body, the uniform, the accessories, you're going to get a completely refurbished, Joe at that point. So, those are unlimited. The Sea Adventure, I think I probably have done in 4 years 12 Sea Adventures, and every one, I mean, they're just beautiful, when they come out. So it's very popular. But yeah, I mean, the custom figures, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9, 10, and that's it, and because a lot of it is what I'm finding now is it's hard to source a lot of the original equipment that I use in a build, so I'm going back now and saying, well, the first one I had all this equipment, and now I'm on my 4th or 5th one and I can't find it. So now I have to kind of change it up a little bit, definitely. So again, keeping those numbers down and moving on to the next figure, coming up with a different idea, at that point.
Very Mike, cool. Can you read that one top right? GIA just asked. I don't know if you can see it. Jeremy, he said, I see that your SAS custom looks like John McLeese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, John. Well, here was the deal. My son Jeremy was in the United States Navy for 10 years. He was actually stationed in Little Creek, based in Little Creek. The last, I guess, probably four or 5 years. He was a riverine specialist. Deployed about 8 times.
Like 2 doors down from my building, man.
Yeah. So he was kind of the inspiration behind that, because it was all the brown water Navy for him. And like I said, I guess probably in about 5 years, he deployed about 8 times. He was in Greece for a year, in Turkey, and he was training in Israel, and then went down to South America and just, all over the place. So he had always had a fascination with the SAS, and he said, hey, we should get together and I'll do the box art for you if you'll do the figure. And right away he said, we got to do John McAleese, Sergeant McAleese. It's a great figure. And I reached out to my boy Mike up in Wisconsin and said, hey, can you do this guy? And I think he had a little bit of hesitation, and then that quickly went away, and he said, yeah, I can do it. And when he got it done and showed me, I think it was like on a Saturday afternoon, he sent me pictures, and I couldn't believe it. It looked just like it, and taking a Joe, head and trying to transform that into someone else is amazing. And Michael did it, definitely. So
very cool.
Yeah, thanks for the kudos, man. That is my very favorite of the customs I've done for you. That one I think looks pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely is.
Go ahead, Jim. I'm sure you got another question.
I'm going to shut up. I'm
Mr. Largo, what do you got, man? Anything?
Well, I am curious, Jeremy, do you prefer to go with like the hard hand classic body type, or do you like the Kung Fu grip? Are you willing to just kind of mix and match depending on the character you're building?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of a hard hand guy. I never really got into the Kung Fu grip. And then, specifically in trying to do a rebuild of something in the past, finding those pristine hands today. And of course, I think
good luck with that.
A lot of us, we turn to, reproductions and doing like the action hands from Cotswold and so forth, which are excellent. I love them. I mean, I put a lot of those into a lot of my custom figures and so forth. But yeah, hard hands. I do a ton of adventure team figures, probably more than I do, the 60s, figures, definitely. But I still have a fondness for the painted head, definitely.
How many shows do you
Have
guys
been-
attend? Jeremy?
Well, I'm still a newbie, and I think I'm kind of treated as such because our very first show that we did was the Kentuckiana show, and that was back in 2021. So we were just out of COVID, and no mask requirements of the show and so forth. I did not make it into the main ballroom or banquet room or whatever, so I was in a room with some, maybe about 10 or 11, different vendors, which were all 3 3/4 inch vendors. I'm the only 12-inch guy there, and I felt really odd. And I always put on a nice display of the figures, and I'm really attention to detail guy. And I had so many people just comment on that, and I was discouraged though. I didn't do very well at the show, but that next week I came home. And man, my email, my messaging was just blowing up on stuff. And I'm just, I said, yeah, can you build this? Do you have this? I saw your boxes. Yep, we can do it. So now we're doing, I kind of limit myself because I still work full time. So we do about 4 shows a year. We do the Great Ohio Toy Show, which is here in Southern Ohio in Xenia. It is the biggest toy show in Ohio, and it runs twice a year in March and in October. So we actually do that show twice a year. We do Kentuckiana, and then we're going to kind of change it up a little bit. We did Maryland, the Maryland Toy Expo back in June, which I was really, it was a great show. We're going back in November to do a second show with them. And we're going to do some local stuff, as well. So I mean, I guess, 4, maybe 5 at the most. That's about it.
Go ahead. Mr. Largo, did you say something or no?
No, but I could. I could talk all
man.
night. One thing
we got
I
it for
really
20 more
appreciate.
minutes. You got it for 20 minutes.
Okay, I'll keep it brief. One thing I appreciate about some of these reinterpretations or recreations is that beautiful art that kind of tries to capture that original style. Where that's one thing about toys today. Everything's a CGI picture or some crap. It's like, give me a actual drawn and painted piece of art. What do you find inspiration from beyond just the original box art from the Joes? Do you look at old paperback novel covers or men's adventure magazines, or where do you get your ideas?
Yeah, a lot of that, especially when you're looking at going back to maybe reproducing like a World War II figure. Like on the battlefield, that's been a really cool figure, for D-Day, Normandy, rushing the enemy, combat. A lot of that stuff is actual art from different types of like advertisements, paper advertisements, which were used, back in the 40s and 50s and even through, the Vietnam War as well. So, we look at that, and if there are no, if there are no copyright or trademark issues there, we're free to use it, and we put it into that concept. I've been looking at, because I've had a lot of people reach out, and the last one we did was the Raymond Reddington figure from the show Blacklist, and I basically just sourced a lot of I guess free art per se from the show that can be reproduced, and again staying under that commercial threshold, and not getting crazy rich off of anything, and that's worked as well. So it's a combination of a lot of different types of artwork, logos. I do myself. I fancy the original artwork as compared to maybe something a little bit more digital. But from time to time, we like to mix it up and offer that more modern look as well. And we've captured that in a lot of our custom Pawtucket figures as well. So.
Cool.
Since you attended the Hershey show and other shows, do you see more younger kids coming, or is it still the older adult collector?
Yeah, it's still the older adult collector. I'm starting to see a lot of the sons of those collectors. So now we're looking at guys maybe in their 30s. Because my son's 34, and he loves G.I. Joe, but he's a Star Wars freak by nature. So, but he just, he just, I don't know. He loves put together, artwork. He does an Instagram page, Skull and Saber, and it's all military related, and does a lot of T-shirt designs and stuff like that. So he's I like to say he's very inspirational. When I look at stuff like that, because he enjoys what I do and the collection that I have, and also the collection he has as well. So.
How big's your collection?
It's pretty big. Like I
How
said,
many do you have?
All vintage, or you got new stuff? Like
no, a mixture of vintage and everything from 96, 97 through 2005, when the 12-inch collection went away again, for the second time, unfortunately. A lot of club stuff, not as much as I thought I was going to get into, because I didn't attend a lot of the conventions, just monetary reasons, obviously, and trying to move all over the United States every year for a different convention. But yeah, to date, I probably have. We're probably looking at excess of about 725 figures. A lot of it is boxed. I've never taken stuff out of packaging, or I've found them a new home with a custom box. So
yeah.
Ah, shit! I lose, you win. Damn.
Have you made any custom boxes or anything special for the Kentucky show?
No. Reached out. Actually, they reached out to me last year. About maybe doing a partnership and doing something, and then there was no more talk about it. I don't really currently know who's doing their custom boxes or artwork. They usually obviously have fantastic stuff, and I purchase it as well. Every time that I do one of their shows, and Cotswold Collectibles is a huge sponsor of Kentuckiana. So I mean, I think when we go down at the end of the month, I'm really going to be pushing the figures. We have a couple surprises that I don't want to let out of the bag yet, and just kind of go from there. So.
I hope to see you there. I plan on attending again.
Awesome.
I think that Andy and Indy question is for you, Mike. Can you read that?
Let's see here.
Do any of you have suggestions for getting a one-off custom head done?
Yes, Andy, I can do a one-off custom head for you, depending on what it is. Go ahead and shoot me a PM on Facebook if you want. And do our best to take care of you.
There you go. All right, couple questions I have left on my list, unless you guys got something. Jim?
Oh man. No, go Paul. This is your show, man.
No, man.
Watch out, Hector's gonna take you over.
You're part of the band tonight. Remember, you're our
that's right. I gotta play the
bass guitar tonight.
Yeah, bass guitar. Now go Paul. You go.
I like to ask some personal stuff, not your job or anything like that, but I always ask, when you were a kid, do you remember that day when you stopped playing and became a collector, or just stopped playing, and then was it years later that you became a collector? Or how did it work?
Yes and no. The reason I'm kind of hesitant, my neighbor, I'll just mention his name, Danny Busen. We played GI Joes every opportunity we got from the time we were, I don't know, 8 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old. And we were next door neighbors. He lived down over the hill from me. Neither one of us, really had any money, but we had enough to have a couple Joes apiece, and we got some equipment here and there. But we did a lot of cardboard stuff. Built the adventure team headquarters out of the cardboard, which a lot of us have done, obviously, or at least a couple of them maybe, and destroyed them. Used BB guns, pellet guns, fireworks as we got older, and I kind of want to say that we started growing out of them, and doing that Saturday morning adventure, Saturday afternoon adventure, all day adventure, whatever. And probably when we were about 13, 14 years old. And I, believe it or not, and I think one of the questions you're maybe going to ask me if I collected anything else. I went from GI Joe to HO slot cars, like the AFX and so forth.
Cool.
That's what I went into, and those were actually my last, toys or hobbies that I played with or collected. At that point.
You still have those today?
No.
Cars?
I took everything. Actually, my oldest brother, who passed away about 10 years ago, I gave it to him because he's the one that kind of got me into it. And that, I never went back to it.
No.
But definitely have gone back to Joe. So,
any favorite toy besides the Joe growing up? Or can you remember anything?
Yeah, Matchbox, Hot Wheels. We did kind of a spring break family vacation down to Florida. My grandparents, I actually had two sets of grandparents that lived in Florida, one in Clearwater and then the other down in Naples. And every year we went down, my grandparents, you do the beach thing and go shopping, whatever, went into a store down there. It was like maybe a Spencer Gifts, if you guys remember those, like at the malls.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
forth.
I remember that place.
Place was called the Maze, and right when you went in the front door, there was a huge display of the Corgi cars, all metal from England, the 1/43rd scale, and I collected those, for a long time, when I was a kid. Yeah. So those were a lot of fun. Definitely.
Very cool. Don just chimed in. He said Big Jim for him and the $6 Million Man.
Yeah.
I remember those too. Actually, I just did a conversion on my Big Jim camper. I don't know if you guys saw that video.
Yep,
but
saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm gonna have to bring it to the show and let you put it on your table. Maybe you can sell it.
There you go. Perfect.
Buy a coffin box and get the Big Jim van for free.
So. There you go.
Best childhood memory regarding your toys. I think you kind of answered that with maybe you're hanging out with your buddy, or no? Was it?
Yeah, and I miss him dearly. We had a great relationship. He had an older sister, which I was kind of fond of, and we'll just leave it right there. And then when he was a year younger than me, she was a year older than me. I was in the middle. And after we all graduated high school and went on to higher education, work, and all that good stuff, kind of lost him. And he popped back up here about maybe about 6-7 years ago, and he's living in the Philippines and enjoying life. And we chat every once in a while, and we still reminisce about the Joe days a lot. So.
Is he shocked about what you're doing now with the vintage Joes?
Yeah, he kind of is, but he's not really. he's not surprised, with it, because I think when we played together, I took it a little bit more seriously than he did. I mean, you hate to say it, it's kind of corny to say, but you kind of lived the character, when you were out there playing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
we're getting close to trivia time, so you guys better ask your last questions.
I got one last one here, Paul. I can't shut up. So
No, that's
here
fine.
the last show that I did, I saw a lot of interest in the 3 3/4 line. Is that something that you're going to spill over into, or have plans to, or don't have any interest in whatsoever? For me, I don't have a whole lot.
We did. So my oldest boy, I introduced him to the 3 3/4 inch, line when he was, young man, and he didn't really have an interest in it because, like I said, he went the Star Wars 3 3/4 inch route. I would guesstimate today, he probably has about 17 to 18,000 figures in the 3
Holy shit!
Yeah, he is just crazy. And even the time that he was in the military, mom was still collecting for him, other people, and so when he would come home, and leave or whatever, and it's like he was all ecstatic about that. But we have talked about doing a 3 3/4 inch coffin box for those figures because so many of them, you find a lot of the collectors, the figures are loose, along with their equipment and their little rectangle, support stands, and they're in bags. Why not put them in, a custom box? So we're thinking about that.
Okay.
You mean like a miniature coffin box, Jeremy?
Yeah, Mike, it would be, like the 3 3/4 inch. So probably like a, 4-inch box, maybe.
Oh hell, that's a great idea. You should do that. Hell yeah.
So yeah, it might come to fruition at some point.
Mr. Largo, you see that one? Sorry.
I just wanted to just comment real quick with Jim because I've purchased from Jim on different items and so forth. Top quality. I wouldn't look anywhere else. Definitely. And I wouldn't try to do it myself either because it's just wow.
Yeah, he's got a lot of my money too. Shit.
Sorry, guys.
Well, I tell you, he made me a custom jail cell that, dude, you pulled that out in like a week. And
that's fun.
I got so many comments on that old video I made that they're like, where'd you get that? How'd you find that? I was like, I don't know if it's on his Etsy store, but I sent him your way. I'm like, Jim Egner made it, man. So, hey, there's one question there for Largo. Looks like GIA wants to know where to find you, I guess.
Well,
on Facebook or
yeah, I'm on Facebook as Jim Largo. I'm on Instagram as Jim Largo 42, I think, and Largo's Layers on YouTube, and we pop and do a couple different things, and anything dealing with pop culture and toys from yesteryear. My only peanut gallery comment to Jeremy would be trying to get younger kids or kids. I mean, we're in our 50s. Anybody under 20 is a kid, or 30.
That's right.
There's absolutely something. Yeah, there's something tactile about the classic 1/6 scale. If you can get that into somebody's hands where they're actually feeling it and seeing the quality, and a couple of minutes playing with that, they're hooked. So that's something I've learned is a lot of guys who like the smaller scale stuff, they've just never experienced or been exposed to, the classic Joes. They don't know what they're missing.
Right. Yeah. True.
Yeah, you got that right.
Hey, Jim, you got a little plug there from GIA. He said he has your MSV canopy.
All right.
Loves
Thank
it.
you. Appreciate it.
That one went across the border. He's in Canada, I believe. So.
Fun stuff.
Jeremy, one question before we get started in our trivia. Is your son going to be with you in Kentucky at the show?
He came down last year with me, and he actually got a promotion in his current job, so probably not. Which I think he was kind of mad, and because I'd already asked him, I said, hey, keep the date open next year, come back down, and I would love for him to come back. We have a great relationship together, and he's an awesome guy.
All right.
Awesome.
So you guys ready for some trivia? Mr. Largo, I don't know if you participated in this last time, did you? Or
yeah, we did some toy trivia, and I did horribly.
Oh, that's right.
So
yeah, we did toy trivia.
redemption.
Okay, well, because this one's called Quiz for the Revolutionary War Smarty Pants. So
Google's ready.
last week, because of not knowing where Pawtucket, I was assuming it was Rhode Island, and the tricorn hat that he has on his logo, I was like, well, he's got to be a Revolutionary War buff.
Oh, point of order, sir.
But maybe
You got to give Jeremy credit there. He's the guy whose son hooked me up with my logo for Medic Mike. Thank you. And if you haven't thanked your son yet for that, thank him too.
I will.
That's a cool logo too, man. All right, we ready? I got 15 questions. We got about 3-4 minutes. So
fire.
I'm just we're gonna go Mike, Jim, Jeremy, Largo. All right. So number 1, who won the majority of the battles in the Revolutionary War?
That would be the British.
The British did, actually. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Number 2, who commanded the French expedition in the United States?
Lafayette.
No. That was my guess too when I looked at these first. Jeremy, it's you.
I don't
It's the
know.
only other French name I know.
I can't think of it.
Mr. Largo, any guess?
The only other French sounding name I can think of is Lejeune, like Camp Lejeune.
No. Rochambeau.
I would never guess.
Day
Of course.
Rochambeau. Back to Mike, I guess. What was the Marquis de Lafayette's full name? You're never gonna get this shit.
Oh my!
I threw this one in just for Jeremy because I thought he was from Rhode Island.
I'll be damned if I know. Jeremy, it's your turn. You give it a shot.
Everybody knows.
I'm gonna pass here.
Yeah, everybody's gonna pass, I'm sure.
So
Jeremy's trying to Google it.
yeah, I didn't graduate
Joseph
from
Paul,
high school, so I wouldn't know that.
Marie Joseph Paul Yves Roche Gilbert de Montier de Lafayette.
No.
Really good.
Of course.
Yeah.
The questions get easier from that one on. Okay.
Man, you're killing me over here.
All right, we're gonna go to Jim. We'll start off with Jim. All right. What type? Oh, we already heard this. What type of hat was mostly worn during that period?
It's that tricorn.
That was the tricorn hat. Where was the Baron von Steuben from? Jeremy?
Germany.
No.
Prussia.
Prussia. Yep. What was the army commanded by George Washington called? Mr. Largo.
The Continental Army?
The Continental Army. Very good, sir.
Correct, sir.
We are back to Mike. What were the German soldiers hired by the British called?
Hessians.
Hessians.
Yep.
Jim.
No.
I don't have any yes. There's no true or false or yes or no question.
Dang it.
Where was the first battle of the U.S. Marines at?
Oh, my.
US,
Montezuma. No, wait a minute.
Oh, no. It's still Revolutionary War time.
Yeah, Tripoli, yeah.
We weren't there yet. We didn't have landing craft yet. Jeremy, do you want to call your son for this one, or do you
it wasn't North America, was it? I mean,
yeah, it was during the Revolutionary War.
Okay. I'll pass. Pass.
Mr. Largo? Mr. Largo was in the Navy. I mean, you should know these Army, Navy, Marine Corps questions.
That's true. We did haul the Marines around a lot on our boats. But, I know they got started in a tavern, but I'm not sure where the first one was.
They did get it started in Tongue Tavern. Yep. Somebody said New York. We're looking for the city, which is Princeton.
Yeah.
The Battle of
Jersey?
Princeton. Yep, Jersey. We'll go with Jeremy since you passed. Which British commander surrendered to the Americans and French at Yorktown?
That would have been. Can I phone a friend?
Well,
Mike knows.
Go ahead, Mike. I get it, Mike.
General Burgoyne.
no.
No. Oh, come on. It must be right. Okay. Cornwallis.
Cornwallis is it.
There we go.
Yes.
Oh, wrong battle.
Mr. Largo, what document ended the American Revolutionary War? Just
Come on,
throw it
Mike.
out.
You know this one.
Mike?
Treaty of Ghent.
No, but it's Treaty of somewhere.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Jim?
I took a stab at the dark on that
Yeah,
one.
no, that was good.
Man, I don't know. Treaty of Versailles.
Very
Wow,
good.
that's World War One, dude.
I'm with Jim. That's what I was going to say, too.
Jeremy, no?
No.
So Treaty of Paris. Treaty of Paris.
Treaty of
Treaty of
Paris.
Okay. I
Who
won't
was the
forget
first
that one.
commander? Who was the first commander in chief of the British Army in the Revolutionary War? Mike.
Thinking. I don't know.
Jim?
My wife's over here yelling, Beckett.
No, I don't think that's right either.
Yeah.
I ain't got nothing.
We got a lot of people watching still. They're not chatting in.
Yeah.
Wish they would.
Jeremy?
Blank. I feel. Yeah.
I told you there was a quiz tonight. I just didn't tell you what it was going to be on. I just didn't tell you what the quiz was about.
You tell us what it was about. We could research it ahead of time.
William Howell. William Howell is the first commander in chief. All right, Jim.
No.
Who was the famous spy from the U.S. Army that served as a tailor to the British soldiers and officers in order to obtain information?
British spy.
He was a spy for the U.S.
Spy for the U.S. I should know this, but I don't.
Does anybody know it?
Bob.
No.
It wasn't Bob. Okay.
Mike? Anybody?
Sorry.
Jeremy? Nobody?
No clue here, dude.
Hercules Mulligan. Hercules Mulligan.
That's right.
All right, we're down to question 13. This is an easy one. When did the Revolutionary War end? When did the Revolutionary War end?
Okay,
Jeremy.
whose turn is it?
Jeremy.
1778.
No.
9.
Longer than that.
80.
Mike
4.
knows. Mike knows.
1783.
1783. Yes, sir. Mr. Largo, you are up. When did the Revolutionary War begin?
75.
Yes, 1775. You are good. Yeah, 1 year before the Declaration of Independence. All right, last question. Mike, we'll go with you.
Oh, dang. Thank goodness.
What was the 7 Years' War called in the American colonies?
The 7 Years' War?
Yeah, what was it called in the American colonies? Though? We didn't call it that.
I'm gonna take a stab at this French and Indian War.
French and Indian War it is. Yes, sir. Very good.
Ooh.
Very good. So,
Go, Mike.
well, Jeremy, sorry you had to sit through that.
I've learned a lot. I feel,
Got your history lesson for
inadequate.
tonight. And by the way, you're not in Rhode Island, okay? Just in case you were.
That's right.
All right, I'm going to put you on the big screen here, and this is your last chance to talk about your website or YouTube channel or anything you're selling or giving away.
Plug it, dude. Plug it. Plug it.
Absolutely.
Plug it.
So, first of all, contact-wise, you can reach me. I don't have a website. Facebook and Instagram, email, all at Pawtucket Platoon. Email is pawtucketplatoon@gmail.com. pushing, the products, 60s and 70s GI Joe figures, completely refurbished, cleaned, restrung, reflocked, repainted, detailed, uniforms, 95% Joe. I do use, from time to time, we use some 40th stuff. I'm not opposed to that, but I always let my customers, my clients know, I don't want to hide anything, that somebody could come back and say, well, you said this was all original. No. I'm not pushing all original figures. I'm pushing 95% original. And every once in a while, you're going to get that original. Build to order concept, contact me. Hey, if you're looking for a specific figure, we can put that together for you. And then the whole custom line of figures too. And we're always looking for new ideas. And, like I said, the last one that came out, our Blacklist, just kind of fell right in line with the whole Joe theme, the James Bond figures we've done, the secret agents, from the past, specifically the adventure team, line. So there we are. We look forward to seeing and hearing from everyone, going down to Kentuckiana. We'll be there July 28th, 29th, and probably a holdover day too, so we can do a little bit of sightseeing. And then in the fall, we'll be down in Southern Ohio for the Great Ohio Toy Show.
Very good. Very good. And I will see you at the Kentuckiana. And anybody else that is chatting along, if you're going to be there, make sure you go up to his table and say hi. And if you see me floating around, say hi as well. Try to get some more people on the live stream. So I'd like to thank you tonight, sir.
Thank
Mike?
you, Paul. I really appreciate being a guest, and
Absolutely.
hope to do some more with y'all. And great, seeing and also meeting, the panel here as well.
Yeah.
So,
It was fun.
yeah.
And all these guys are members of the AOA, so I guess we could do a hands up for making you a new member of the AOA.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it does come with its benefits. You get a 20% discount at Home Depot. And you get one free ice cream at Dairy Queen once a month. So you just show that card and
It's right on my
Buy
alley.
shit from this
I
guy.
still haven't gotten my secret decoder ring. Is that in the mail?
it's in the mail. It's in the mail, bro.
He wouldn't even tell me about the secret handshake. Apparently, it's a secret. Wow.
That comes after your first year in the AOA. You don't learn that till the second year.
Man, come on.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next Monday.
Thank you, guys.